Hello, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the J Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Nokowski, and I am joined today by everyone's favorite guest, George Martin. George, how are you doing today?
What's up? I feel like a regular on this. It's almost like it's our own podcast.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're always available, though. You're always available.
Guess that's a good thing. Maybe a bad
Yeah.
thing that I don't have much to do, but it's a good thing.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see this is a completely different setup. I'm using a different stream service because Zoom was being funny about when someone would talk. So I'm trying this one out. I want to hear your thoughts. There's some new features that'll be added into it. But without further ado, let's get straight on into today's episode. So we're going to start with a little news that came on Monday, which I had a breaking news episode about, the Dak Prescott contract. So Dak agreed to a 4-year, $160 million contract with the Dallas Cowboys. And so there is the question, is Dak overpaid? George, I want to get your thoughts on this contract.
Okay, well, this was something they had to do. Like, I knew coming into it, like, they had to resign him. I didn't think a tag would have been smart. And when I saw the Schefter report that they had come to a deal, I said it was going to be above 35, and it ended up being 40. Yeah. Is he overpaid in a sense? I would say yes, but they did something smart where they restructured a lot of his deal into like a big signing bonus. So it's not going to go against the cap a lot. And I think it's like front loaded too.
Yeah.
Or stretched or something. I do think 40 is a lot for him, but the fact that they were able to like restructure it and help out the team, I don't think it's going to hurt them as much. Do I think that's a little bit too much money? Yeah, but in the long run, I think it'll be okay.
Okay, yeah, you got my opinion on it. But then there's the press conference between Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott. I don't know if you heard about it at all. No,
I did not.
Okay, so I'm gonna screen share and play this clip from it. It was interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. Is the words Jerry uses, kind of make me think I don't know. I'm just gonna play it. So, all right. And can you see it, George?
Yes, I can.
All right.
This is cool.
Fancy. We're getting fancy here at J Sports. All right. So this is what Jerry had to say.
Most anything that I've ever been involved in.
Oh, they're going to give me an ad. No.
Oh, it's a StreamYard ad. How funny.
Oh, okay.
That's literally what we're using right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. So.
That ended up being special, I overpaid for. Every time, to the end. Anytime I've tried to get a bargain, I got just that. It was a bargain. And a lot.
So, he literally said he overpaid for Dak. But wait. There's more to it. Jerry doesn't stop there. Because about 3 minutes later, let me just get to the clip. He says even more, which I was like, whoa, like, I don't know. So first we have Jerry saying that. And then, let me share it to you. And then we had Jerry saying this. All right. Chromecast. Dak Prescott. And then we had him say this.
And I will tell you this, if there's a human breathing that I've ever met, that I'm proud that took advantage of me, I'm proud it's the one sitting to the right. And Dak fault.
So he literally called Dak overpaid and that he took advantage of him.
You're the one offering him the contract. What you mean he took advantage of you? He must have used leverage against him or something.
I have no idea. But yeah, so that's your first time seeing that. I heard it on Thursday. What are your thoughts about what Jerry said?
I mean, maybe he feels like what I just said, like it was something they had to get done, but he paid a little bit too much. But I mean, in terms of taking advantage of him, I could see it because like the market of quarterbacks, especially like with Mahomes getting that absolute mega deal, that, you know, he kind of uses leverage. And look, the Cowboys had the number one offense before Dak was putting up like mad numbers. So he could have just been like, look, if you look what happened when you had Andy Dalton and Gucci DiNucci or whatever his name is, the offense was horrible. They didn't make the playoffs. They should have with that talent in that division. So he's like, look, I can go to Washington. I can go to San Francisco. You pay me, whatever I want. And that could be where he took advantage of him. And that's smart by Dak. But I just think it was something that had to be done, and you live with the money.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm in the same boat. So I was surprised because he was asking for $40 million a year before he snapped his ankle and had a season-ending surgery. And Jerry was like, we're not paying Dak $40 million. Well, that's what Dak got coming off of an injury. I'm just surprised that Dak was able to get that kind of leverage on the Cowboys coming off of this injury. I mean, that's just me, but we'll see how it works out in Dallas. I think Dak is a good quarterback. I will not call him elite or great. I think he's good.
I don't think that will be the worst contract that the Cowboys have signed. I think that Zeke contract might be. Yeah, it might. We'll see next season, but I don't know.
As Jerry said, he got taken advantage of in that contract. So, moving on, we're both here Skull Vikings. We're both Vikings fans. So, free agency is starting up next week, and it's like the legal tampering period is like basically now. The Vikings cleared some cap, have about $10 million in cap space. Who are some names that you want to see the Vikings go after or pursue in free agency?
So one really popped my mind, and I saw this on Twitter that I really liked. His name's Romeo Okwara. He played for the Lions. He's 26. He's a D end, and he had 10 sacks last year, improved from 1.5 the year before. And I feel like the Lions didn't tag him, didn't tender him, nothing. I don't even think they're going to end up paying him. And he's not generating a lot of interest from what I've seen. So, I mean, I feel if you can get him for a pretty cheap price, that could fill up one of the defensive holes. And then a second one, pretty new today, Casey Hayward was released by the Chargers.
Yes.
And he's older. He's dealt with injury. So I don't necessarily think anyone's going to throw like a bag at him. So I kind of feel like if we can get him for, I don't know, 7 to 10, I honestly don't know the market, but a veteran corner with the young rooks to help mentor them, because I think they're going to get a lot of playing time again, but to slide in Hayward wherever and injury depth, I think those two needs would be perfect, as well as offensive line. I want us to address that through the draft, because there's usually a lot of good tackles and guards in the draft.
Okay. Yeah. I'm with you on, I did not hear about that Lions player. He's a new name to me. Casey Hayward. I know we kind of texted about him. I just want a veteran cornerback. I don't care who it necessarily is. I just want someone who's a veteran. Also, they need a safety as well, because they only have Harrison Smith. Anthony Harris is a free agent, and he's going to get a lot of money, and money the Vikings will not pay him or give him. So I was looking into safeties, and so Anthony Harris is the top free agent safety, but and I was looking through some maybe bargain guys. One that crossed my mind, and you'll probably remember the name, Malik Hooker. Do you remember him?
Yeah, he's on the Colts. He's coming off an Achilles tear, though. So
yes, he is coming off of injury, and he has had a few injury problems, but he's going to be very cheap.
He was really good on that Colts defense. They were like top, 3-5 all throughout the year.
Yeah, so I want to see them go after like one of those, or John Johnson from the Rams.
Yeah.
He's another free agent. He's not going to be getting a lot of money as well, which I don't know why. He's a great safety, but he's not projected to get a lot of money, and neither is Malik Hooker. I would love to have either one of those. And I guess as we talk about this, do you want the Vikings to roll with Barr, or do you want to see a trade cut move to free up more cap?
It pains me because Barr is a UCLA alum. He was one of my favorite players those years he was there in college, alongside Eric Kendricks. They were formidable, and when they were on the Vikings, I'm like, oh god, yeah, I have to watch these guys. So, I mean, I wouldn't be mad with a trade cut, whatever, restructure something to give us more cap or something, but I wouldn't be mad at having Kendricks and Wilson be like the next core starting of linebackers. And if we can use that money for other defensive pieces, I think it's smarter to spread it around rather than keep that large contract.
Yeah, I'm with you. Wilson, I don't know if he's gonna because he's gonna be commanding about $9-10 million is what he wants per year. So I don't know how much if we can make that work.
I agree, but especially in this season, I like a lot of players and teams have been willing to restructure deals because the cap hit was so
Yeah.
massive. So I'm hoping we can get that. I mean, we've already got that from Colquitt. Hopefully we can get it from other guys, but it's been a trend around the league. So
yeah, it has been, and I will see. Yeah, but one person who is a free agent, and I think he should be at the top of Minnesota's board is Joe Thuney, offensive lineman, New England. He's given up 3 sacks in the last 3 years. That's it. The Vikings' offensive line is horrendous. One stat I do want to tell you, George, Kirk Cousins in 2020, when he had a clean pocket, had the second best quarterback rating in the NFL.
I think I've seen that before.
So if you can tool this offensive line, you need to replace Riley Reif. Well, I would say move Ezra Cleveland to where Reif played. So Cleveland in his right spot. You have Brian O'Neill on the right side. You have Bradbury as your center. Then you go get Joe Thuney and then you sign maybe a cheaper guy who is better than Dakota Dozier. One of those better than him. And then you have a decent to good offensive line. He's going to be asking about like $15 million per year around. He's going to be expensive, but he's good. And so at that price range, do you want the Vikings to pursue Joe Thuney?
Hold on. Do you know how old he is? He's 20. He's 28. Okay, he's younger. 28. Yeah. I wouldn't mind at all. I'm still a proponent of going through the draft just because, I mean, their salaries are a lot cheaper, but I mean, that's a premier get. And I feel like it would help out a lot. And I honestly feel like if we just got him, that it's just one and done. Like we might not even need to retool much of the O-line, and we could just move on to the rest of the team. So I'm definitely not opposed to it. Any O-line help we get, I'm gonna love. So
yeah, and there's a few others out there. I mean, Eric Fisher got released by Kansas City.
Pray for Mahomes.
Seriously, man. And seriously, pray for him. And then also Trent Williams, but it seems like he's going to be going back to San Francisco. Kevin Zeitler, he was released by the Giants. He was another name that I've seen pop up a lot.
I believe we tried to make a trade for him a few years ago.
Yeah. We tried to make a trade, and there were some draft things that didn't work. Hang on one second. Oh, got it. My dad's just feeding the cats. All good. And then, like, if we really need to get some cheaper guards, Nick Easton, he was a Minnesota Viking. He played with New Orleans. He's better than Dakota Dozier, so I don't care. As long as he's better than Dakota Dozier, because he is awful. In all capitals, awful. But there is one team in the NFC North that makes the Vikings look good. And that is Bears. The Bears Twitter. Oh, my gosh. I know... Costa, I don't know if you listen to my podcast. If you do, I'm so sorry, but I mean, you might want to skip this because it's going to be bad. Bears Twitter this week was convinced not.
Oh, was that me? Uh-oh. That wasn't me, right? Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know what to do.
At the stream.
Oh.
There I am. Okay. Wow, that was weird. Alrighty. Sorry.
I was just dancing. I was like,
I know. I didn't know what the heck happened there. Like, it was reconnecting, and then it just like boop.
We're still recording, so
yeah. All right. I'll just All right. Anyways, Bears Twitter not once but twice was convinced that they were going to be trading for Russell Wilson this week.
Bears Twitter just DDoSed you.
Dude. Okay. And the basis they were going off of was ridiculous. So the first time it happened was Wednesday night, where they were convinced it was going to trade was happening Thursday morning. And the only reason they had was in Vegas, they took the Russell Wilson bets off of the sports books. And the Bears' odds for winning the Super Bowl went from plus 6,000 to plus 5,000. That's all. They didn't move minuscule. If they got Russell Wilson, they would move into like the top 5.
Yes. Yeah.
They moved plus 6,000 to plus 5,000, and they said, there's the move.
Yeah, no, like stuff like that happens every offseason in every sport, baseball, basketball, football. Some player sends out a cryptic tweet, deletes everything off their social media, or, some Vegas like also Vegas odds are just betting men. It's not NFL insiders. It's not experts like changing the rankings. It's just like NFL or just bettors being like, oh, we think this is going to happen, so we're going to move, because for basketball, they did like Vegas odds for MVP and Luka's 4th, and I'm like, okay, he shouldn't be that high, but it's like someone told me no, it's like betting people who, are they placing bets on these people? So it has nothing to do with NFL insiders or knowledge. So I don't know why that was like a conspiracy theory of NFL Twitter.
Yeah, it was, and it was pretty wild because they were, that's all I'll say. It was pretty wild Wednesday night, and they were so convinced. And then Thursday morning, they woke up to no Russell Wilson trade.
They woke up to extending their kicker.
Extending their kicker to make him like the highest paid kicker in the NFL, I believe. And then it was Friday, and Friday they said, but this one, here we go. Russell Wilson was on an airplane, and they said, he's coming to Chicago, guys. He's wearing a hat in Seahawk colors. I don't have the picture, but it is a gray and neon green hat that he is wearing.
Throws me back to the days where us as Laker fans were like thinking we'd get everyone.
What do you mean? We still think that. We're
getting Drummond. We're getting PJ Tucker. We're getting Aldridge.
Hey! I don't want LA and I don't want PJ, but I'll take Drummond. And we're gonna talk about him later. Hint, hint. Stay watching. Hint, hint. But yeah, and also Bears Twitter brought up a tweet from 2015 where he said Chicago in exclamation point. In 2015. Bears Twitter and then they extended their punter. So
right, Pat O'Donnell,
Yeah. So they were expecting Russell Wilson on Thursday and then again on Friday. And instead they got a kicker and punter extension.
Teams.
Woo! Yeah. So Bears Twitter, just be wild in right now. But that's really all that's gone on in the NFL. There's going to be a lot more news next week. There's free agency signings. I'm going to be here for it. I'm going to get pods out as soon as I can with those. But in the NBA, we had a very scary situation happen last night where big man and MVP favorite Joel Embiid landed very awkwardly on his leg. And George, that did not look good. Like, I know you know more medical stuff than me. Like, explain, elaborate, George.
No, so I told you it looked like a hyperextension or a sprain. It's just a freak landing where your knee, it looks like it kind of just goes into itself. That's like hyperextension. It just over straightens and it bends in a little bit, but it was a bone bruise, so it's a few weeks. It's just like a pain tolerance thing. But I mean, he's lucky because with those types of landings, you can tear ligaments, you can get fluid in your knee. It could go all bad in a second. So I'm that's probably one of the better case scenarios, 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. And do you see that as a realistic timeline for when he comes back?
Yeah, because usually sprains, light bone bruises are like 1 to 2. Like I said, it's going to be pain tolerance and level of activity, but he'll definitely be off it for 2 weeks minimum. I don't see it. I would agree with that timeline.
Okay. I wanted to hear that because Dr. George here giving us the facts.
Kinesiology major.
Yeah, and I mean, if you guys don't follow George on Twitter, you need to, because first, he's never caught lacking on Twitter. And secondly, he comes at anyone.
Oh no.
He had Laker fans attacking him. And then I see this Joel Embiid injury, and I see George fighting fans because the first comment on this Joel Embiid injury was, well, there goes his MVP season. And George just said, you're sick. He will go after anyone.
Skip Bayless tweeted that too.
Oh, geez. Okay, well, Skip Bayless is his own mess of a man, but we won't even get into him. But yeah. So George, follow him on Twitter because he's Laker fans have been attacking him this week, man. Attacking him.
War for anything.
Yeah, he'll fight for anything. But I'm glad to see Joel. It is not a serious injury because they were up by 20 points against the Wizards when this injury happened. So that would have been a real blow if it was more serious. But I'm happy to hear it's not as serious. And hopefully 2 to 3 weeks he's back on the court for the Sixers. And we love our MVP talk here. We love talking MVP. And we have a player we haven't talked about, and that's CP3. Honestly, okay, so I've broken down the MVP is the most valuable player to that team. You take CP3 off the Suns, I don't know. I don't think they're the second seed in the West. I don't think so. George, tell me your case for CP3 for MVP.
So CP3 is one of the best floor raisers for any team. You put him on that team, you're going to be expecting to compete. Look with the Thunder last season. They were given less than 1% chance to make the playoffs, and they were 1 game away from going to the second round, ended as the 5th seed. Great season for them. And you just look, the Suns, they had a great bubble run. They went 8-0. They almost made the playoffs, but they were never a good team in the regular season before the COVID stoppage happened. They really just added Chris Paul. I mean, they had a rookie. They brought in Jay Crowder, who's a great role player, but Jay Crowder isn't the source of why they're so good.
Very true.
Yeah, MVP is most valuable player. Unfortunately, that's not how the award is voted on now. The last true MVP was Russell Westbrook in 2017 when he took that team that was completely horrible after KD left to the 6th seed.
Yeah.
But in terms of most valuable, he is 100% up there. Guys like him, Steph, Jokic, and LeBron. Those are true MVPs of their teams. And honestly, with the Embiid injury, I mean, it's open as ever now. LeBron's kind of been struggling. Steph was an early favorite, but the Warriors record sucks. Luka, the Mavs stink. So it's really Jokic.
Embiid,
if he comes back quickly, one of the Nets guys. I mean, maybe we can start entertaining a Jazz player, but I think his stats aren't MVP worthy, but I mean, it's kind of like the Steve Nash effect. Steve Nash, when he won MVP, he got there. Amari was hurt. He took them to the playoffs. And his numbers weren't, it was 19 and 11 or 12, which is kind of around what CP3 is averaging. So, I mean.
Yeah. I have the stats pulled up. So, first of all, he is 35 and he hasn't missed a game this year. 35 games. He's played all 35. He's averaging 16.1 points, 8.8 assists, 4.5 rebounds, shooting 39% from 3, averaging over a steal a game, 48% from the field. George, your favorite stat, the true shooting percentage is 59%.
It's flawed a little bit, but yeah, it's my favorite stat.
So, yeah, I mean, you look at those and you hear those numbers, you're like, that's not MVP. But he is so valuable to that Suns team. And honestly, I don't understand why he wasn't in the finals for MVP last year, where he took that Thunder team. They were projected to be the last seed in the West, and he took them to the playoffs. So I thought he should have been in the MVP conversation last season with Giannis and LeBron, and I hope he's in. I don't think he will, because it's just the way the media works. Is he's not averaging 20 points a game or doing something every night. So, but I could make a strong case for CP3 for MVP. Yeah, I hope it gets more consideration, but I don't think it will, just knowing how the media works. But we did have some very bright and good news out of Indiana. Charis Levert made his Indiana Pacers debut. If you don't remember, he was a part of the James Harden trade, which I talked about, and I said Indiana won this trade between all 3 teams. because of who they gave up and what they got in return. But Charis Levert, it was when he got his physical that he had a mass on his kidney.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a mass on his kidney. But today he made his Pacers debut against the Chris Paul Phoenix Suns. Pacers win 112-111. Charis Levert played 26 minutes, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 of 14 from the field. George, did you watch any of the game or see the highlights or anything?
I didn't get to watch it, but I caught up with a lot of like the storylines and timeline. But yeah, he makes their offense a lot more efficient and a lot more deadly. And especially since he's a big body, he's a forward, and his defense was already great in Brooklyn. A lot of people said it was great tonight. Unfortunately, I didn't get to catch it. But yeah, he honestly, like, if that team's fully healthy, they're a lot more intriguing. I know I'm going to sound like Lehman right now, but they're a lot more intriguing to go up against teams like Milwaukee, maybe even a Brooklyn if they get TJ Warren back as well. I mean, they're going to have the wings to throw it at those guys. Not saying that they're going to beat Brooklyn, because I don't see that at all, but they can definitely push them 6 or 7, and then anything can happen. But yeah. I wouldn't expect it, but I think he's going to help with their defensive identity a lot, and they've been missing wings, you can see in these games.
Yeah. I was just happy to see him on the court. I was not expecting him to drop 20. I just wanted to see how he played on the court. I did watch some of the highlights of it. He looked comfortable. They managed his minutes, I would say, fairly well, and he still got, 26 minutes in. That's a pretty good run, I think. And he'll ramp it up as the season goes on. I think by playoff time, he's going to be ready. Hopefully, yeah, I hope he can lead this Pacers team, because I love this Pacers team. I'm with Lehman. Me and him are big, like, Pacer guys in the East. I don't know why, but we always have been. And yeah, I think they could make a splash, and I think they could kind of play the Phoenix card in the West, where not many teams are going to talk about them, and they could make a deep run in the playoffs. Do you see I guess we're talking about, do you think the Pacers could make a deep run in the playoffs? I mean,
right now they're pretty low in the standings, but like with this Eastern Conference, they go rattle off 5 games. They're going to be like the 6th seed. It's contingent on matchups, and I have no idea who they can match up with, but I'd be interested most to see them in a series against Boston, because I think they match up incredibly well. They'll have the guys to throw it, Tatum and Brown. And then honestly, like, they're going to be a huge mismatch down low. Turner and Sabonis, I don't think Tyson Thompson will have the ability to stop him. And then Brogdon on Kemba, I think that's barbecue chicken. Brogdon, I mean, look what Brogdon did last night against us.
He cooked the Lakers.
He cooked us. Fortunately, like, towards the end of the game, Dennis and LeBron took turns guarding him. But, I mean, that first quarter, he was lethal. So... Yeah, it's matchup contingent. I mean, you hope they don't match up against like a team like Miami first round like they did last year, because that would not be a good series for them at all. But depending on matchups, I think they could. Second round is my prediction. Conference finals, I'd be surprised. So I'd say second round.
Okay, but yeah, I would love if they can make the second round. That would be great for Indiana, especially because they've been just such a like. Unbalanced, not unbalanced. I'm missing the word. Inconsistent. There it is. Mm-hmm. They've been very inconsistent this year. So, if they can make the second round, I think that'd be great. But it's good to see Charis back on the court. And I can't wait to see what he does to ramp up his minutes. But we have some NCAA news. March Madness is starting up. And I have some news at the end of the episode about March Madness and what I'm doing with that.
Ooh.
Yeah, George, you're going to be the first to hear, because it's going to go out on Sunday. So you're going to be the first to hear.
Let's get
it. But today, Georgetown won the Big East with head coach Patrick Ewing. I don't care that Patrick Ewing and Georgetown made it. I mean, good for them. But I'm more upset with what he – okay, well, now you know my stance. I'm upset with what he said. About the MSG security guards. So I'm going to screen share this clip now, because I'm fancy like that. All right, let's get it. Yep. All right. This is what Patrick Ewing had to say after they beat Villanova in the first Friday night, I think it was.
But I do want to say one thing, though. I thought this was my building, and I feel terrible that I'm getting stopped accosted, asking for passes. Everybody in this building should know who the hell I am. And I'm getting stopped. I can't move around this building. Like I was like, what the hell? Is this Madison Square Garden? I'm gonna have to call Mr. Dolan and say, geez, is my number in the rafters or what?
As well as those situations where they're like, he jokingly said.
So that's what Patrick Ewing had to say. So I mean, I guess you guys already heard how I feel. George, I just want to hear what was Patrick Ewing in the right to be mad at MSG security for not knowing who he was?
I agree with him, and I know it seems like you don't, but I mean he's 7 foot, he's huge, and I mean unless these security guards are like casuals and I don't know, younger than you and I mean, or just don't know basketball, but I mean, if you're a security guard for these events, you should kind of know who the coaches are, the personnel, and especially Patrick freaking Ewing. You're in the MSG Madison Square Garden. I don't know. I mean, I agree with him. Maybe he didn't have to be that explosive, but he's entitled to that because like of everything he's done, you know, and that's like his building. I know why he feels like that. Maybe he shouldn't have publicly stated it like that, but I agree with him.
Okay, no, and so yeah, I hear that point. I'm with you though. I think he was a little bit too explosive because so I come from the standpoint of I look at the worker here. This is someone who is just looking for a job. I don't think it was their dream to be a security guard at MSG. I think a lot of them are 18 to 20-year-old guys who don't, I mean, do they know the NBA or do they not? I don't know. Maybe they're just there to collect their paycheck. If they do know the NBA and they're like, oh my God, Patrick Ewing, like, also you should just know he's the head coach of Georgetown and just be like, yeah, Patrick. But then I'm like, okay, what if I'm sure when this tournament got set out, because they have all these COVID restrictions and stuff, they're probably like, you need to check every badge and make sure whoever comes in is them. And so I'm sure they're just doing like their job, like to ask like, hey, can I see your badge? I mean, I guess I want to know to the extent of how much he was stopped. Like, was he stopped once or twice, or was it like every corner he turned as he said it was? Because if it was once or twice, I'm like, okay, man, calm down. But if it was like every corner he turned, I can understand where that can be a little upsetting.
Well, I mean, if he got heckled or, you know, like chased down, I'd get it. But if it was more of like a, let me see your badge, and you're like, I'm Patrick Ewing, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe he just expected that he would have been able to go through. But I agree, like, those workers have a job, they have precedents, they have rules, you know, they're just trying to not get fired, and, you know, they're just like, hey, I need to see your badge. Like, maybe they just won't take his answer as an answer. It's just like, sorry, I need to see it.
And so I hear both sides. I just think like, let's lower the explosiveness, Patrick. Let's celebrate you. They just beat Villanova. They were the number 1 seed in the Big East. They are going into the tournament. Georgetown was 11-12. They were below 500.
Under 500?
They beat Villanova without one of their better players. We will add that to that. But then they went on, they beat Seton Hall, and then today they beat Creighton in the finals. So they're going dancing with a 13-12 record. But he cares more about the security guard than celebrating this one. I'm like, oh my God. Like, whatever, Patrick. I don't know. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about that because, but this is the final segment of today. We have a game that me and George are going to play called Buyout or Trade. I'm going to list you some NBA players who have been rumored to be on the trade block / buyout situation. I want to hear your opinion on, because the trade deadline is March 25th, I believe.
It's approaching.
Yep, it's coming quick. So I just want to hear your opinion. Do you think this player is bought out? Is he traded? And where does he go? So first player I will name, Andre Drummond. He's the big fish.
I eventually think he's going to... Wow, this is tough. I think he gets bought out because I'm looking at the teams that would need to trade for him, Toronto or Boston. I don't think Boston pulls the trigger because of his contract and Danny Ainge being a hoarder of assets. And Toronto, I feel they're confident with what they have, and Nick Nurse is like a really good coach to put that talent together.
Yeah.
So I think no one bites the bullet. I think he gets bought out, and unfortunately, I think he goes to the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. So I'm with you on the same boat. I'm with you on the buyout. I think he does get bought out, and again, so I think Toronto, Brooklyn, Boston. I'm gonna throw the Lakers out there because they are a team that there's been connections. So I'm not just throwing them out because I'm a Laker fan. There's legit connections there.
Uh-huh.
So I think he's bought out because none of those guys want to have the trade assets for him. But I changed the team. I don't think he goes to Brooklyn. I think he goes up north. I think he goes to Toronto.
Really? Okay.
I'm feeling this. I mean, it may be PJ Tucker and not Andre Drummond, but I'm really getting this vibe that they're gonna make a move, that they're gonna make that big splash, because right now they're the 8th seed, I believe, unless the standings change tonight, which they could because the East is insane. But last I checked, they were the 8th seed. If they get Andre Drummond with Siakam, you got Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, that could be a scary team in the playoffs, and that's a team that can beat Brooklyn because they got height on Brooklyn. So,
and I trust Nick Nurse in a playoff series, especially against a rookie head coach in Nash, or even against the Sixers, because if they get Drummond, obviously Drummond isn't going to stop Embiid at any sorts. But
no.
I mean, I think even this season, I think when Philly played Toronto, Embiid was held to like less than 20 points. So Nick Nurse is a hell of a coach. That coaching staff will adjust, will know what to do, and yeah, they get a big man. They could have another deep run like last year.
Oh yeah, so I'm saying Toronto, Georgia's saying Brooklyn. So we're both saying he's going to get bought out and go to the East. The next player I want to list is I mentioned him, PJ Tucker. Is he bought out or is he traded?
I think he's traded because their GM, owner, whoever deals with the moves, is a cheapskate. He traded Harden off in return for an expiring guy in Oladipo, who they're definitely not going to re-sign, and turned down money. So I think he's just going to walk. And honestly, I've thought about this a lot. I don't think the Lakers make a move for him. Brooklyn, he's been linked there. It doesn't make sense. I really like him in Miami, and they have money.
Ooh.
They have assets to make it work.
Yeah.
Especially because they're missing that Jay Crowder type role, like, a 4 to put next to Bam when they go smaller, or just like a big wing they can throw on anyone. And I think he fits perfectly there in that heat culture, tough tenacity defense, scheme. So I would really like him in Miami.
Oh, I like that fit. I think PJ Tucker, I think it's a buyout as well. I think I think it's a buyout. I don't think he's going to get the trade that I think people know that it's going to be a buyout situation. So they're just waiting for it to happen at this point. Because PJ has really expressed how pissed off he is.
Oh, he's never playing a game for the Rockets again.
Exactly. He's so heated about it. So, so I think it's a buyout. I like Miami. I think Boston gets him.
Okay.
Just because I think they need a bigger guy. I mean, he's not big by any means, but he'll
play the center.
Exactly. He'll do that. So I think it's Boston going there. So a lot of our players heading east, and another player now I'm going to throw out to you, Lamarcus Aldridge. It looks like he's played his last game in San Antonio. Is it a buyout or is it a trade? And where is he going, George?
Okay. This is tough. I'm gonna contradict myself here because I think it's gonna end up being a trade, and I could see Boston picking him up, but I just said that I didn't see Drummond going there for the pure reason that Ainge hoards assets. But I could also again see him go to Miami just because they need another 4. They need someone who can score. They need an available body. This one I saw on Twitter, which is very interesting. The Golden State Warriors, because they're lower on big men, and they need NBA bodies because they're throwing out second unit like G League, like Nico Mannion, Juan Toscano Anderson, like Damian Lee, like these guys are G League players at best. And they, I went on my help Steph rant the other night on my podcast. So I think Golden State's going to get dicey come trade deadline. I think they're going to make a few moves because they need to. So I'm gonna throw out a wild card. It's not my most confident pick, but I'm gonna say the Warriors.
Okay. I can see that. I realized I forgot to bring up a point, and I'm gonna go back to it after I do my Lamarcus Aldridge. So Lamarcus Aldridge, I think he's played his last game, but I actually think he gets traded. I think a trade happens. I don't think it's a buyout. I think it's a trade. I like that Warriors take, but I think this trade, I don't know why, but I feel like it's going to happen is Dallas. I don't know why. I know Doncic needs some sort of help. Porzingis has been too inconsistent, and I feel like Dallas might make a trade and to bring him to Dallas to help out Luka just a little bit.
Okay.
And the one I forgot about, I read this on Bleacher Report, was that the Suns are interested in Andre Drummond.
Yeah.
Why? They have DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, I quote tweeted this on Twitter, and I said, Ayton greater than signed Drummond. That's it. Like, makes no sense. He's not going to be. You don't need two of them. Not going to come off the bench. You have Crowder to play the small ball for it. Yeah. I think it's a smoke screener fake. So
okay. And I'll bring up another one. Kyle Lowry. Well, first of all, do you think he gets traded? Because
traded to the Sixers is I think it happens.
Wow. Okay. So I don't think he gets traded.
Okay.
The only reason is a lot of people are saying they don't like that contract now. That last year of his contract is like too expensive that teams don't want to take it on, which I'm like, okay, but if you put him on Philadelphia, that's a damn good team. I don't know though. I'm going to go with he doesn't get traded. I think he stays in Toronto. And then we'll see what the future holds. But so that is buyout or trade. That that was the last player I wanted to ask about. And so if you're still listening and still watching, here's the big news I've been waiting to tell you. Next week I'm going to have a podcast. I'm going to fill out my March Madness bracket live here for all of you. But there's more. I'm not just going to do that. I'm going to be creating, once this podcast goes up on YouTube and Spotify, I will post an Instagram post for this. I'm doing an ESPN tournament challenge. I'm creating a group.
Let's do it.
It's free to join, and the winner will get a $25 gift card, or if you're like George and you live in Wisconsin, it'll be an e-gift card. That will be sent to you. It's free to play. You get one entry. And the only rules are you have to follow my Instagram, the J Sports Podcast Instagram, which I know George Martin already does. Yep. And then once you fill it out, just send me a screenshot so I know who's who. Because I know sometimes it's like ESPN fan 1457896 guy.
Count me in.
Yes. Okay. So that's going to be happening. You got to get your brackets in on time. But wait for that next week. I'll fill out my bracket for a podcast for all of you. Maybe we'll have George fill out a bracket. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But that's all we have for today's episode. George, I want to thank you again for being on the episode.
Always a pleasure, Josh. Always a pleasure.
Of course. And let my people know where they can find you and your 2.5 Hoopers podcast.
Of course. So you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Spotify at TH Hoopers. All lowercase. Yeah, follow us there. Watch, listen to our videos, comment. You'll get a shout out in one of our videos on Instagram or Twitter. Follow us on Twitter, please. We only have 10 followers. We got way more on Instagram, but I'm lonely. I need some interactions on Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you, George. And you can find me on Instagram, J_sports_podcast. I'm on Twitter as well at Josh Nowakowski. Like and subscribe and follow me on Spotify. And yeah, leave me some comments down below if you want a certain team banner up, or if you just want to comment about what me and George talked about. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions. And until next time, this has been Joshua Nowakowski of the J Sports Podcast.